In today's lesson on how to build your golf swing, we're going to talk about, I call it position 3 or parallel 3, when your left arm's parallel to the ground. So far we've covered your setup, your takeaway, what your hips should be doing in your takeaway. And so today when we get to that parallel 3, we're going to talk a little bit about the hips. We're going to talk about your hand depth, the shaft angle position, what your wrist should look like. We're really going to break down that position 3 because that between the top of your backswing, it's not that big of a difference. So if we get this correct, completing the swing, which we'll do in the next video, will become a lot easier. It'll become a lot simpler. This might feel a little different to a lot of us because we tend to do different things with our arms. And so at the end of the video, I'll give you a really simple drill on how to kind of practice this and know where your position 3 should be without you having to overthink it. If you're brand new to our channel today, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe so you can see future videos that we have on this series, or you can also look at the ones in the back. Just hit that little bell button and you'll get all the reminders of the new videos that we have coming out. So today we're going to talk about position 3 or parallel 3 half swing as we go through. So our position 3 is when your left arm gets parallel to the ground. A lot of us call it a half swing. So there's a few things that we're going to look for. Okay, the first thing that you need to do, and this is going to be harder for some of us that are a little older, but what I like to see when you get to that left arm being parallel to the ground, I like to see a lot of basically ribs or body rotation. So when you get to that 3, I want you to basically be a little bit greater than 45 degrees there. If you can get even a little bit more, it's even greater. Okay, the reason I like that is because the arms, which we're going to talk about later, do something a little different. Arms don't really rotate. The body is what rotates. The arms do just more of vertical motions, and that'll be the drill that we talk about later. But the first thing that I want you to really concentrate on is feeling like your left ribs move across your body, and so when you get to that position 3, there's a lot of rotation. It's going to help you get a little bit more width in your golf swing, which correlates to a little bit more power. And it's going to get your arms out of it, which is going to make it a little bit simpler for you to strike the ball consistently. So the first tip is let's really get our ribs moving across our body. Okay, it's okay if your chin moves with it, just to help it get out of the way, because sometimes we keep our chin still and it kind of limits how much we rotate. So best players, you'll see that their chin actually moves away to help them rotate. So the next thing that we're going to work on is your shaft angle when you get to that position 3, because it's really important. A lot of us tend to lay it off and then we tend to tip it down. Some of us stand it up too much and then we have a huge drop on the way down. So today we're just going to basically find the middle ground when it comes to that. So as you set up to it, as you take it back, when you get to position 3, the butt end of your club should be pointing basically to where your ball would be if we move it further back. So you can see the angle of my shaft and my club right there versus too steep, too laid off. Okay, we really want to see as you set it up, it points basically there. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to then to have a little drop to it, shallow it out, or you can come back down on the same line. Just makes it a lot easier to be more repeatable. So this is a super simple drill that you can do. You can even probably try to hit balls with the alignment stick if you need to. So you just kind of set up. So you can hit little shots like that if that's how you want to work on what it feels like. You can also, usually videotape is a good way to do it. But that's a super simple drill that you can do to make sure that your shaft is at the right position when you get to that position 3. A little addition to that shaft angle that we just talked about, it's not the same with every club. So as the club becomes further away from you, right, that target line will become, the angle will change. So if I stand with a short club, it might be a little more vertical. As I stand with like a driver, since it's longer, it'll be a little bit different angle. So don't make it the same angle with everything or you'll really struggle with the longer clubs. The last video we talked about the hips turn. So now we're just going to, you should already know what that feeling looks like. So now we're just going to tell you basically what it does when it gets a little bit bigger swing. As your hips turn and you do everything correctly, basically they're just going to continue to turn a little bit more. Okay. Eventually when we get to the top of the backswing, we'd like the hips to be at least 45 degrees. Some of us might not get there, some of us might get a little bit more. All right, but 45 is typically the angle that we look for at the top of the swing. So when you get to that position 3, it might not be a full turn yet, but it's going to be a little bit greater than what you started off with your takeaway. So make sure you don't stop turning your hips. As you rotate your chest, your hips should basically almost catch and start to turn with you. So make sure that your sequence is correct too, right? So just another way to kind of give you an example of what it will feel like to set your wrist, you can go buy one of these 6-foot poles at like Home Depot. And all you do is you set up to it, and so when we're trying to get that correct shaft angle, this will prevent the club from coming inside. So it can help you with your takeaway, and then when you set it up, it's going to basically match that shaft pointing at the right position. So it's a really good visual aid as you take it back and you set it up. You know you're doing stuff correctly, you're at the right angle. You can see that the shaft and the stick in the ground basically match the same position when you start off. So you take it back, match the shaft angle, and then if you're not scared, you can come down and basically actually still be shallow and hit a draw. I've noticed that this can scare people, so they tend to come over the top and go away from it. But if you feel like you can do it, you can also put a noodle over it so you don't hurt yourself. We'll try a little shot. And so that's just another, didn't plan on putting this in the video, but this one works really well too. So the final part of the puzzle is the hand depth. And this is where I see a lot of people start to struggle, is because they think that their arms can get a bigger backswing by moving their arms across their body. And in a way it does, but it's going to be a disastrous move for your golf swing. So I see what we like, if you've seen what we've done with the last few swings, is when your club sets and you're at that 3, it's right in front of your sternum. Okay, it stayed in front of your body. Lots of times we see the arm push across, and every once in a while those who tend to slice it, they tend to lift it up so they don't get enough arm depth. So it needs to be it's very small how much your arm's actually going to move across your body. So a drill for you to practice this is if you just set up, bend your right arm and let the club go over your right shoulder a little bit, and then you bend over and then you turn, you can see where your hands go. Okay? Now if you do this and you push your arms too much across your body, bend into your golf posture and you turn, it's too deep. If it gets too deep, unless you're really good with your timing, you can still shallow it. You might actually be too shallow and hit big old draws or swinging hooks, or you're gonna push it across trying to get back to basically that neutral plane. And of course, if you don't have any shallow and you just go up too much, then you'll tend to come down and you'll cut across it. So you gotta make sure that your hand depth matches your sternum in this position 3. So bend that right arm, club goes across your body a little bit, turn, and it'll get you into that good position. Okay, so that is our position 3. That's our half backswing. We know what our hips do. We know what the left wrist needs to do now. We know about the hand depth. We know about the shaft angle and the different shaft angles that come with different golf clubs. I think that pretty much takes care of everything when it comes to that position. So the key things that I always look for is the wrist and the hand depth. Everybody turns a little bit more or less, so I don't get too concerned with that. I mean, ideally I'd like to see a bigger turn, but it doesn't have to be that way. But those are some simple things that you can really focus on, check on, along with the past videos that we have, and that'll get you going on the right track to eventually create that really nice backswing that you're looking for.